Alright, welcome to Just Magic the Gathering. Today I was going to do something a little different than the standard grind. Not this midweek, but last midweek, they had the brawl, and I did try and enter into it and do a brawl, and I'd like to see that. I picked up a bunch of shrines. I was like not even 2 weeks ago talking to my brother about building out a shrine deck. Because there's some really interesting shrines that are... I want the oracle text. Or it's actually the type. Unfortunately, some of these shrines that I picked up aren't currently legal. And I did just kind of pick up one of each, thinking that they're uncommons, and it would be interesting to build out a shrine deck. And that is kind of where this started, is my brother mentioned that one of the Magic content creators, a gentleman by the name of Swayze, created a shrine build from the current set. And I did go out and watch it, and it was impressive. I will link the video because, yeah, it was impressive. And in some ways, that is part of where I almost fight the imposter syndrome of, like, I don't have all the cool cards. The other day, I played against a white deck where it was like, man, I have most of those cards, but I didn't have the white control cards I needed. I didn't have the split up. I didn't have the seam rip. I didn't have the wipe all creatures. So being able to build out a comparable deck for me is basically impossible without dumping some tokens into it, and I don't have the tokens to do so. So ultimately what I did yesterday was sit down and build a shrines deck. And I was looking forward to giving it a whirl, but I also wanted to give maybe a behind the scenes of how I did it. Because I was looking at playing alchemy. If I'm playing digital only, I might as well take advantage of that. And this is actually where it was started with. I was like, wait, the only shrines that are available currently in alchemy are the avatar ones. So this is like mostly an avatar thing. The Kyoshi Plaza allows you to search for lands. Basic lands, it's a key there. Crescent Island Temple, when I temple or not each shrine controls, create a 1/1 monk that has prowess. The Northern Air Temple, I actually had 0 of these and I had to exchange for 2 of them. I burned most of my uncommons at this point. But with that being said, I was down to I think 9 before I built out my last deck. And my last deck was built entirely basically on uncommons that I had available. So basically what I did was I started by throwing in all the Kyoshi Plazas and basically all of the avatar ones. Then finish going through these real quick. That Northern Air Temple, each time an opponent loses life, I gain life, where X is the number of shrines you control. When another shrine you enter, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This is draw, which is super handy, and this drops +1/+1 counters, which going back to is really handy. If you have all 5 shrines out, you can drop 5 +1/+1 counters on all your creatures. That right there only gets me 36 of my 60, assuming that that it's about balanced on land. It has 24 lands, which I think is about balanced for lands. So I need to come up with another almost like 14 cards to round out my shrines. I did go for, since I am playing 5 colors and death controls at my fingertips, I did go for the Morbid. And it wasn't Morbid, it was Mortify. I'll just look black, save me some time. Yeah, there we go. Mortify, I threw in all 3 Mortifies. Bell, I like. It doesn't get Planeswalkers, but you get it for 2. So I threw in 3 of those, and then I threw in my Strategic Betrayal. 3 of those. And at this point, I'm looking to just kind of like fill out the remaining maybe 15 cards. So where I went from here was, what cool cards do I have in, like, blue is actually what I was looking for. Blue has some really nice draw engine, and just show me all of the mythics and rares. Sorry, all the mythic and rares that I have in blue. And I just started kind of going through some of these. Something that makes me have no maximum hand size would be really handy. A 2 that also allows me draw. If you draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. Like, I was kind of a fan of that, so I just threw that in. There are a bunch of cards that, like, are pretty nice. I mean, I'm now looking at nice cards. That I passed up most of these. The Spirit Revival, I'm not going to plan with my current loadout. I have almost no creatures, and I'm not going to have any width to do any water bending. The one thing I was looking at for this is card draw. It allows me to upgrade my clue tokens, or a clue token for a 3/1 flyer. I have ran this and it worked well. So I threw in both of those. Going back to, I was more looking for card draw. And yeah, I did at a certain point go like, ooh, I like the Kidnap. I can steal creatures. One thing about almost like, well, now what is the intention of the deck? And I'm trying to split it too far. So I did throw in some Kidnaps, and I will give some foreshadowing is that I pulled them out later. But I just started going through my rares and mythics in blue, looking for things that were going to help synergize with the deck or get me access to card draw cheap. And at this point, I'm now kind of out of the cheap area. And that's basically where I stopped. There are, even if I go past like expensive into like dual lands and things like this is where it's like, oh yeah, now I have my blue whites, and I made my first pass through this. And only this, because then when I went to white, I'd already done all my duels, although minus my lands. So the lands I touched up at the end. At this point, yeah, I decided like I don't want basically any of what I'm looking at. I did entertain Vivi. I might build a Wizards deck or go back to, I enjoy building decks, and I might do a video on building a Wizard deck but I passed on him. And yeah, I will try to just make this quick because at a certain point I already did this. The World Eater, some of the cards I have, I do just... Magic has a deduplication, or I should say Arena has a deduplication mechanic, which means you're more likely to get one of all cards that are rare and mythic before you start duplicating up or triplicating up on one. And in a way I appreciate it, because it's like, oh, I already have 5 copies of that card and I don't want another. Or in some ways it also is like, I'd like another one. But it does allow you to get new cards and new additions to your indexes. And yeah, a little bit of sidetrack there. At this point, I did kind of just keep scrolling through here. I hadn't seen anything that really caught my eye for synergy. The Stonehide Ancient, I like this one. But unless I'm building more like a dragon, I mean, my flexibility is still, I could almost go dragon land drop. When this creature enters, return all non-dragon creatures to their owner's hands. So basically everything back to your hand. And if I play it as the Omen, it gets my next dragon out cheaper. Either way, I decided no on the whole dragon thing. And then I made it here. The other day, I didn't even realize I had one of these. The other day, somebody played this on me. It actually made me want to do a review of that deck and be like, what is, like, this was mean. This stomped all over me. I basically get a exile a permanent card from your graveyard at random, then create a tap token that's a copy of that. So even if they put things in my graveyard, they can come back. Whenever it enters or attacks, I threw that in. And then I moved down to white, but basically with the exact same strategy behind. Like, what do I have really cool in white? Authority of Councils. I can't believe I already started building a deck without Authority of Councils in there. And now almost down to needing only the final 6 cards and having to look at what my balance is. So I'm pretty happy with how the deck's feeling. I have no idea how it's going to play. One of the things I was wondering about, like throwing in the Day of Judgment, I did end up getting to destroy all creatures, but at a certain point that can hurt me as much as it helps me. I'd rather have kill all your creatures, which I just don't have the one of those cards. I don't have any what they're called sweepers. In fact, I will link the video that Swayze plays. We're going back to his deck's way more expensive, or it depends what you're looking to fill it out with. Lamb, this guy, if I'm actually creating like a prowess deck, because his entire thing with the shrines is that your monks get prowess and you can keep hammering the prowess and you just keep creating monks. And that's exactly what Lamb does. At one point this was banned because it was broken, because it paired with something else that made it unbelievably powerful. But whenever I cast a spell, he creates a guy that creates more monks that create tokens. Like, he creates a token that creates tokens. So this just gets stupid fast. I really thought about throwing him in. Raised the Past in a way I was like, oh, I like the looks of this one, because if they kill my stuff, any creatures I throw in here, depending on, I mean, what do I have for creatures? The only creatures I threw in here were just the few there at the end. Everything's shrines. So I only have 4 creatures. So being able to pull my creatures out of my graveyard would be nice. It depends on if they run graveyard hate, or, I mean, that makes me susceptible to having to rely on my graveyard, and without a lot of creatures, it doesn't necessarily do me a lot of good. So yeah, that's basically where I ended up. Yeah, I really do like Lamb. I was trying to figure out exactly how I went awry, because at this point I think I was only down to needing a couple, and now I need 5, so there's something I missed that I didn't do before. So with that being said, I'll actually just go over to the deck that I kind of pre-built out. So I ended up with 3 of the Authority of Councils, 2 of the Black Air Temples. I did end up with the double card draw, no maximum hand, 3 fell, 3 strategic betrayals. Oh, Aang's Journey. That is in some ways what makes this deck. I can search for any of my lands, and if I kick it, I can go for a land and a shrine. I threw in the 2 aerial mechanics, blue shrine, the 3 mortifies. I did throw in the Day of Judgment, the Southern Air Temples. And going back to the Day of Judgment, if I'm relying on just generating tokens by playing shrines, I don't care if I wipe my board. If I need the control, it's handy. The White Air Temple, the Red Air Temple, the Green Temple. And I picked this guy up actually just from when I searched shrines, and I guess I missed him to begin with. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a lesson, saga, or shrine card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the library, bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever you cast a lesson, saga, shrine, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So I really, in a way like that, if I'm playing shrines. And Smile at Death. I guess I didn't quite get up that high with the... I was looking at a different one. Beginning of your up group, return 2 target creatures with power 2 or less from your graveyard. Everything in here has basically power 2 or less once it's in my graveyard. So I do like the synergy that Smile at Death could bring to the deck. I am really light on creatures. I did, other than I guess I do have the 7/7 here. And then I had a Mockingbird. It's once again like a clone creature spell. Somebody played one of, and it wasn't a Mockingbird, but when I was asking my brother about, like, man, somebody played a blue clone creature, and it was the same person that played this deck. The video is interesting, or it's online. I will actually probably look to link that too. Yeah, my brother was like, oh, it's the Mockingbird. And it's like, no, it wasn't. There's a different creature that does it. And I don't remember what it was right off the top of my head. I was wondering the legitimacy of doing the dual lands versus just straight spamming my primaries. Because there's not a lot of depth in that. I mean, because what do I have? 2, 4, 6, 8, and I know I have 2 more down here. 10, 13. I have 13 lands that are going to come in untapped, and that's compared to the 10 lands I have that are going to come in tapped. And back to some of this makes the numbers easy. So I have 23 lands on my 60 card deck, which means I'm land heavy. But I have cards that will get me lands. Or I guess it's just the one? I don't know. Either way, this is where I ended up, and yeah, hopefully it holds up well. That's kind of where I was wondering. I probably wanted to get back to my grind, but I kind of wanted to try the new deck. So I figured I'd give it a whirl. I am pretty much at the beginning of Platinum, so I don't feel as abashed about trying it in Platinum. Playing unranked is kind of a hit or miss. Because some people go there for testing, some people go there just because they don't care. One of the things I was talking to my brother about was the number of people I swear that just forfeit the game because they're looking for the perfect... It's like, I need my ley line in my starting hand. I need 2 blue or green for that. Most my hand, I'm going to keep it. Because I can do Aang's Journey. I'd rather be able to kick it for the shrine. Let's see how it goes. Scry 1. So yeah, that will actually be the last one I need. And the Draw Temple, which I'm super happy with. It looks like he's playing red, green, blue. So at this point I was going to do my temple. And Fabled Passage and a Dragon Globe. You might actually be playing dragons. That's a stack of cards. He still has 190. And at this point, I can... It's just a 1/1 with Death Touch. Go for my kicked Aang's Journey. And what do I need for land? Oh, let's choose Shrine to begin with. I think the Crescent Temple will probably do me the best. I need to be able to get my... What? How did I fail that? At the very back of those had to be my lands, and I was supposed to be able to submit two? What did I miss? I'm feeling silly. So... Oh, and I drew a temple anyways. So... Get a 1/1 monk, and another card out of the deal. He's trying to figure out, I guess, what my endgame is. Keeps looking at my colors. He can, I'm assuming no. And here I'm actually gonna... Tempted to dump my... That seems weird. I dump my instant kill. It's expensive. And at a certain point, I don't really care if he's running Death Touch, because I'm just going to keep creating more tokens that accelerate. So here, if I play the 4, I can get another shrine, but I'm going to have to discard. I don't have the black I need to play my kill cards. So I'm going to go for Aang's Journey. If I kick it... Alright, let's see how I failed this. Trigger orders. They're both going to prowess. And I'm glad to see him burning it down. So yeah. Choose a land card. And I just need to be able to scroll, because yeah, there's all my land cards. I don't want... I am on a timer. I need my black. And then I'll go for another land draw. So I need to discard. And at this point I have no creatures. So Smile at Death. I'll discard one of my fells. I need to discard 2. Yeah, and see, this was a mistake. No, I just need to discard 1. I'm being silly. Should have done thinking, or I need to look at my little tabs there. Because I burned both my timeouts. Yeah. This is going to be a bit of a long video. Even just the one game. Because yeah, he is running a handful of death. But I have a decent card draw engine up. So the Verge is going to come in untapped, which is great. And I have enough to be able to do like an island. At this point I can fell. So you're going to protect? I doubt he will. And then I'm going to play my next Crescent Temple. But yeah, the triggers before it gets removed. And at this point I have the Northern Air Temple. Return target permanent graveyard with a hexproof counter and an indestructible counter on it. So This is where I can basically kill his... What do I want for... I need to get a little more into my... death. I could do another temple. So he's going to give me a clue token. All of these are going to power back up. The mountain can go down. And at this point I can now do the strategic betrayal. Choose a blocker. No blocks. So if I mortify him... and then strategic betrayal, this other one. Ma cabbages! Nice. So, with that being said, it hits as advertised, or... yeah, I like shrines, or I'm glad I took the time to build out the shrine deck. There isn't enough to build a commander shrine, because I did exchange for some ones that aren't currently legal, but yeah, glad to see it hit. But with that, I am going to call it. I look forward to playing some more Magic in the future.